Good morning. Kindly help me type in the chat if you're able to hear me very well before I begin, because I might start and then before I know it, I'm speaking to myself. So kindly just help me type in the chat section if you're able to hear me. And I welcome you once again for having joined us for our day 3 session. We thank God for the far that He has brought us. And this morning, as communicated earlier, we are running under the theme, but there is a God in heaven. This morning, I want us to focus on the part where we choose God. Yes, we've gotten to know what we need to do. We've taken the appropriate actions like Daniel did. But at the end of the day, it doesn't stop at that. Yes, when we overcome the challenges and then we are able to go through, what happens? As Christians, it's supposed to be a daily journey. And in this journey, we are supposed to choose God every other day, every other minute of our lives. You realize that the different Bible characters have really showed us what we can become, but also how far we need to go in order to become that. We shall use the very person, we shall use Daniel in this case. Daniel has showed us what we can become in the presence of the Lord, but he has also showed us what we need to do, how far we need to go in order to become that. It is not a simple journey. It is one that has different challenges and one that has trials and tribulations. The different trials and temptations that he faces, you realize that when you bring it back to yourselves, when you bring it back to your lives, we look at a trial as an external circumstance that challenges your happiness. And the things that challenge our happiness are really so many. That is loss of lives, loss of jobs, the different financial crises and things like that. And then we have temptations on the other hand. This is, to me, I would consider this as the internal response to wanting to do wrong in light of tough situations. The trial on the other side is the external circumstance that is challenging you. The temptation on this side is your response towards what's challenging you, and that response of wanting to do wrong in light of those tough situations. We normally defend such things and we normally make it seem like, oh, I really had no option. I couldn't do this. That's why I chose otherwise. But you realize that going back to Daniel, he chose God until the very last minute. I want us to read Daniel chapter 3, verse 17. In this case, I'll read for us. He says that if we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up. This is tricky. This is a trial and a temptation at the same time. We have them expecting the Lord to save them, but then they also take the other stand, but that even if he doesn't, you realize that they are still choosing God. That part of, but even if he doesn't, is the part that we need to embrace. That regardless of your expectations, yes, you expect him to come through, but what if you don't see the results that you desire? Are you willing to give up? Are you willing to let it go? Are you yielding into the temptations because he has not given you the results that you expect? As Christians, we are you choosing the other side, you choosing not to side with God. In that case, you're going to keep forming those routine desires, which will consume you. And my worry in such cases is, as we drift away, as we go the other side, as we go further and further, we might not really have the time. We might not be given a chance to come back. And that is how that is how our souls will be lost in the due course. So as Christians, we are to make that decision on a daily basis. We are to choose God. And this journey, to me, is a matter of our decisions, commitment, service, and dedication. And then at the end of it all, waiting on God's will to be done. It is painful. I consider it painful. But then we are also looking at a choice that God made. We are making the choice to follow God because of the ultimate choice God made on our behalf. He chose us, and I'm urging all of us to choose Him as well. There are a variety of options. In the due course of you trying to make a choice on whether to choose God or not, there are other options that come with temptations. There are a variety of choices. And you might actually choose to go the other way, having justified how hard it was for you, how hard things have been lately. You can choose to make that choice because it is painful, like we've said. But at the end of it all, we need to know that, like all the Bible characters, they've showed us that we can become something good, but there is a lot that is to be done. There is a long way. There is a long journey that we need to take. It's not just a matter of saying, yes, I've decided, and then everything will work out on its own. The other thing I noted that if we only get to see, if we only dig deeper and see what happens if we choose the other side, if we do not choose God and choose sin, the impact of our choices, the damages that it will cause, you realize that we would have woken up and chosen not to get cozy with sin, but choose to be on the side of God because He made that choice openly for everyone to see that He has chosen us. I would encourage each one of us that we should choose God on a daily without taking a break because we might go out before returning to Him. Do not take a break at any moment because it is in the due course of taking those breaks that you might get comfortable with the other side, that you might get familiar. Because at the end of the day, the majority are the ones out there. And it gets fun when you are many. It gets fun out there with the majority, and you might forget what what your initial choice would have been, and we might not be able to make it back. So I'm urging us that, like the different Bible characters, we've looked at Daniel. You remember Samuel, the people that he was literally raised with, Eli's sons, the things that they used to do, the things how they used to disgrace their father, how they used to commit sin in the house of the Lord. But what did Samuel choose? You'd think that him having been a young child growing up seeing all that, he would have chosen to be like them, but he made that choice for God. He kept choosing God on every other day. He didn't conform to what the others were doing. I would want us to look at Joshua and the choice that he made. You realize that Joshua woke up and chose to follow the Lord irrespective of what happens. He made a statement, an open one, that for him and his house, they'll choose to serve the Lord. The part of choosing to serve the Lord is one thing that shows you that no one is going to push you, because we've been given the power of choice, which is a common thing. Like they keep reminding us of that every day. We've been given that choice to make. How are you using that choice? Are you choosing to commit and as well seal it with your life? Even if it doesn't come through that, even if your expectations of God don't come through, are you still choosing not to be molded by what is around you? Do not become what the majority are becoming. Are you going to choose to follow the current flow and float along, forgetting where the Lord has brought us from? Yes, the challenges, we overcome the challenges. And then what? Do we have to sit still and wait and for us to gear up when another challenge comes? We need to choose God on a daily. That is the only way we are going to get the courage. That is the only way we are going to form that character that will enable us to be able to wait on Him. Having taken the appropriate actions, prayed like we saw yesterday, received answers and celebrated what God has done in our lives, it doesn't end at that. We don't have to sit still. We need to show everyone. We need to have that daily song in our lives, reminding ourselves and reminding everyone around us to keep God with us, to keep choosing him, to keep choosing all that he wants for our lives. And that is following his will, committing to his service, however hard it is. We might say that a lot is happening and there is no time, but we need to make that choice. We need to create that time because it can always be created. Remember taking us back to Daniel. You remember Daniel's decision, who purposed not to eat of the king's delicacies, but kept himself for the Lord and refused to touch them. You realize that all the Bible characters, they are faced with things that are way so appealing. And to some extent, you can choose to say, I can understand. When it comes to food, everyone wants to be obedient. You would think that they would eat the food because they were on orders of the king. Someone could say even God would understand. But then we are not of the world like we've been reminded all the time. So we need to keep making that choice. And that is the choice of what God wants for our lives. The decision of Samuel growing up with Eli's sons and all the immorality going on, but he still chose to remain clean. Choosing God is a daily thing, like it is something that we need to do on a daily. That is the only way we will be able to keep away from forming those desires, those routine desires that are going to convince us that it is okay, that what we are doing is normal. Because at the end of it all, if you try to justify you choosing otherwise, you will drift away and you won't even notice how far you have fallen. So to me, I would encourage, actually, let us just read Joshua the way it is so that we can be able to see how big of a commitment we need to make when it comes to our choice, when it comes to choosing God. Because the statement was so clear. He didn't stutter, he didn't really beat around the bush or anything, but he chose that for him and his family, they will serve the Lord. And that is one thing I know that him speaking like that, there must have been many people around him, even those that were trying to reject. But what does he say? Much as there were many, what choice did he make? He chooses to say that him and his family, and that is a small number. You would think that they would be shaken with that kind of choice, but they knew they knew about the choice God made. They knew how much of a sacrifice God had made, and they decided to go with that choice, and they decided to choose him. Remember, let's make the choice to follow God because of one ultimate choice that God made on our behalf. He gave us the Son. It was a big sacrifice. It was a big sacrifice. So you choosing to choose otherwise is the ultimate disrespect. And it is a sign that we aren't grateful for what he has done. It is more of us just using God and not being grateful for what he has done in our life. So at all times, this morning, as we start our day, as we go about our business, remember to choose God. Remember, even if you are the minority, remember to make that choice for him because he made it already for you. So choose to follow God. Choose God in all things, not in a few, not in those that are convenient. Kindly choose God in all your life decisions, in all that is moving on around you. Daniel says that even if he doesn't save us, they'll still choose him. That is one thing that should stick with you. That is one thing that is important. That even if you don't get the desired results for the day, the results that you prayed for, I would urge us to still choose God because he chose us first. He made the sacrifice first. So let us choose him as we go about the day. And we believe at the end of it all, when all is said and done, we will be able to turn out victorious. And at the end of it all, we will live to laugh about it and having seen that the choice we made was worthy of it all. Keeping in mind that there is a God in heaven, a God in heaven that is willing to reveal, a God in heaven that is willing to help, a God in heaven that is willing to guide. Take your make your choice today, and that choice should be good. Thank you so much, and may God bless you and guide you throughout this day. Amen.